It's August. It is hot and humid. The bugs are everywhere. And although I'm not crazy about this weather, a lot of the plants back here that I'm growing are. So today I'm inviting you on a tour of my garden here in Central Florida, Zone 9A. And we're just gonna get right to it. I think I'm gonna place chapters on this video if you wanna skip around because I have a feeling it's gonna be a long one, but let's go. Underneath this canopy of pine trees and some random oak. I'm sorry, you're not random. I have my blueberries here, and normally these would be in full sun, but because it's summertime, I place them in this area to receive morning sun and dappled light throughout the rest of the day, just to protect them a bit from the intense heat. This one is a pink lemonade. This one is a snow chaser. I highly recommend if you can get your hands on this. The farm I bought it from no longer carries it, but they produce very large, juicy, sweet blueberries. And this pink lemonade also produces lovely blueberries that stay pink when they're fully ripe. Down here we have our shampoo gingers. They started off as one rhizome, and then this one had a baby. And then this one was another rhizome that also sprouted up another little baby. I got these two shampoo ginger cuttings or plants from a dear friend that was kind enough to not only gift me these, but a gajillion other things that I'll be happy to share with you. And these shampoo gingers are also with children. Back here we have some mulberry cuttings. This one didn't even have leaves and now has a ton of leaves. It's doing wonderful in here. I already put one in ground and I'm trying to get this one here to root. This is a Pakistan variety. This is your standard dwarf ever-bearing mulberry. And look at this lovely specimen. Look at that. This is a jaboticaba, also pronounced jaboticaba. Look how lovely. Look at these leaves. This has grown so much, and they're generally slow growers from my understanding. I got this when it was a little smaller a few months ago. I give it a nice prune back. It does love a good pruning. Definitely wanted to expose this amazing trunk. And this is where the fruits form along the trunk. When I got it, it was in a 7-gallon container, and I up potted it to this 15-gallon container. I wouldn't recommend up potting bigger than that. It actually could have gone into a 10-gallon, but I'm overly enthusiastic and I had faith that it would do great. It has a lot of new growth from when I transplanted it and pruned it back. The leaves are healthy. They're absolutely beautiful. In the soil mix that I used, it is 70% Canadian peat moss, 15% compost, 15% perlite. And I took that advice from Pete Canaris over at Green Dreams. He grows a ton of them on his farm at his nursery, and that is the mix that he uses for all of his jaboticabas that are grown in containers. I have my Cuban oregano here, also given to me as cuttings. Place them in ground. They form new leaves, doing wonderful. You're going to see a lot of these random silver inch plants. I've got them growing all over the yard. These were also given to me as cuttings, and they root along each node. It's a gorgeous addition to the landscape. You can also grow this indoors. Up here we have our Nepenthes. It has these really cool pictures. This is a carnivorous plant, normally grows on trees, so it needs a lot of aeration. That's why I have it growing in this type of container. And it's cute because in the wild, the monkeys actually drink from them. It's called the pitcher plant for that same reason. All right, let's get out of here before a spider jumps on me. I have my purple passion fruit vine growing along this cattle panel trellis. Over here in this untamed jungle, I've got a American persimmon that's growing wild. I did not plant this here. You're going to see some random Mexican sunflowers all over the yard. This is Tithonia diversifolia. Over here in the back of this jungle, we have the black cherry tree. It just finished fruiting a couple months back. I don't see any fruits on it right now, but the birds love it. The bears love it. The berries are used a lot to make wine, and it has a big pit in the middle. So there's not a lot of actual fruit around the pit. You just kind of enjoy whatever pith and juice it gives you and then spit it out. Or you harvest a whole bunch of them and make wine or mead. I made a batch of mead almost 1 year ago, and you can make homemade mead with any berries or fruits that you are growing. So I'll be more than happy to share with you my process on that soon. The inner bark of this tree is medicinal, and the wood is also used in woodworking, especially to make instruments. It's essentially cherry wood. And it's beautiful. Look at that. Aside from the moss that's growing on it, look at that trunk. Moving on, got that Mickey Mouse cactus. And now we step into my jungly wonderland. Here we have a golden pothos being trained up this pine tree. Over here we have the leaf of life plant. Some green onions that I bought from the store, use them up, save the roots, place them in ground all over the place, and now they're resprouting. I just placed these sweet potato slips in ground. That's why you see them semi-struggling, but they'll bounce right back. These are white sweet potatoes, some more of that gorgeous silver inch plant. The leaf of life will also form new plants from the leaves. So this leaf fell, and I went ahead and placed it in ground, covered it halfway with soil. That's going to sprout some new plants here soon. These were also cuttings given to me, but I have another one here, another one back there, another one here. Now, of course, this is looking very sad, but again, these were cuttings placed in ground. This here, we're going to say goodbye to, but it's sprouting new growth here. Here we have some turmeric that is laying sideways after a nice little thunderstorm. One of my small moringa trees, I have about 3 or 4 in ground throughout the garden. This little bamboo stick that you see here and over there, that's where I planted my ginger and turmeric roots, waiting for those to sprout up. They might not sprout up until springtime. We'll see. Back here, I believe this one here is an arrowhead. Some more golden pothos being trained up a tree. My Monstera deliciosa, that's in a pot currently. This was also a cutting given to me by that same awesome friend. Leaving the wonderland. Bye-bye. Have some prickly pear cactus or nopales. This is my little asparagus patch. A very young powder puff tree. Different types of Mexican sunflowers. Now these are Tithonia rotundifolias. My wild sawtooth blackberry patch. I believe this is a Biden's alba. It was another cutting given to me. I think it's Biden's alba, which is a native plant slash flower that the pollinators absolutely love. Some more prickly pear cactus cuttings, more carnivorous plants. I've got the Venus flytraps, 2 different varieties. Another carnivorous plant, this is the Sarracenia. What have you collected? We have some cover crops growing right now where I would normally grow my tomatoes and peppers. These cover crops are protecting the soil, also fixing nitrogen into the soil. These are all different types of cowpeas. Got some sun hemp back here. Got some marigolds hiding in there. I have a lovely loofah vine, like the sponge. Some passion fruit cuttings, butterfly milkweed, some more green onions. Oh, hello, you beautiful lady. This is the butterfly pea flower. You make tea out of these flowers and the water turns blue. And then if you add a little bit of acid, like a splash of lemon or lime juice, it turns the water purple. It's really fun, beautiful. It's growing in this little container, but found its way up my trellis. Look at that. That's one tall heifer. Okay, so behind the trellis, we have some hot peppers. We got the jalapeno pepper. Hi. Oh my goodness. I forgot all about you guys. What are you doing? Oh no, you're far too gone. I'll take this inside to save some seeds. Hot banana peppers. Some more sun hemp back here that I left alone. I let this go to flower. I chopped most of them down and incorporated them into my soil. Not only does it fix nitrogen, but it helps deter, repel root knot nematodes. But then I decided to leave the rest to flower. Hello, what are you doing? Are you resting? Okay. Over here we have a Seminole pumpkin that actually started out here, then died along here, and then came back to life up here. Look at this. The Seminole pumpkin roots along the vine. If one part doesn't make it, that's okay, because this part over here has rooted itself and is doing fine. Hey, if you're liking this tour so far, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate your support. Sugar apple, also growing in a container. I will not place this in ground. It gets way too cold where I am here in 9A for this young beauty to be in ground right now at this stage in its life. So I will be bringing it indoors when the temperatures drop below the 30s or into my garage. More moringa. These are actually growing in containers right now. I do need to place them in ground. I don't know where I'm going to place them, but they're doing lovely. Over here we have a Simpson stopper, which is also a native. And when it flowers, all the bees and the butterflies and even the love bugs come to the yard. My Simpson stopper brings all the bees to the yard, and they're like some more Tithonia diversifolia or Mexican sunflower cuttings. You are pretty much gone. I'm sorry. We have this guy that sets up a little fruit stand close to my house. He gets his fruits down in Miami and then drives back up and sells them. So he had some sugarcane cuttings a couple months ago. I grabbed the cutting, divided them, and placed them in ground, and here's the result. Also, that dear friend that gave me a gazillion cuttings gave me some of her sugarcane that I have growing in a different area. One of my little compost piles. And we have arrived to my favorite part of my garden. You're going to notice these flags, and these flags are marking all of the special plants that are not weeds so that we don't accidentally step on them or weed whack them. Here we have pigeon pea, a scraggly brown turkey fig, but don't let its size fool you because it already fruited. Look at you doing your thing. Some aloe, more leaf of life, pineapples. I don't know how well these are going to do during our winter months. So these that I have in ground will stay, but I do have some others in containers that I will be bringing into my garage during those colder nights. I have a volunteer okra growing right next to this beautiful pineapple. Got plumbago here, another Florida native. This poor thing has been weed whacked so many times, and I'm like, dude, let me put a flag on you because you are not just random. Although this was random, I did not plant this here. Must have been one of those awesome birds that have planted many things in my yard. This is an American beauty berry. Hi, look at you, how pretty. This here is also a beauty berry, but this was a cutting that was given to me and it hasn't died. I have a lot of amaranth or Jamaican callaloo growing randomly throughout this garden, so I won't bore you with all of the ones that are growing. I'll make this more fun. Look at this. This is a variegated crossed with a Meiwa kumquat. Still working on ripening its delicious fruits. Another fig. This one here is a Celeste. Look at how beautiful you are. This is also in ground. I'm not growing this in a container. I did plant a bunch of sun hemp and crab meal into the soil around this plant to keep those root knot nematodes away. So we'll continue doing so in hopes that it gets mature enough to stand on its own without letting those nematodes kill it. I have a friend that lives in 9B She has a huge fig in ground, beautiful, never gave her any problems. Also here in Central Florida, so I know it can be done. My lovely container grown loquat. This here is an Oliver loquat in a 30-gallon container. And if you're wondering why I'm growing loquat in a container, it's because I don't know where I would place it in ground. This is the gorgeous angel's trumpet that looks like dead twigs right now, but it's alive. This was also given to me as a cutting, but I have several more cuttings in containers that are thriving. I just have not placed them in ground. Probably won't do so until spring. I have 2 pineapple guavas, which are not actually guavas, also known as fijoas or fijoas. They're absolutely gorgeous. The underside of the leaves are very silvery. And then you have the green foliage in the front. It's a very beautiful ornamental tree that produces lovely, delicious fruits. Here we have a different variety of mulberry. This one is the Himalayan mulberry. Doing very lovely. The leaves are much larger and will get much larger than your standard dwarf everbearing mulberries. Right next to it, I have a dwarf everbearing mulberry. This is the one that I placed in ground from those cuttings that I showed you earlier that were given to me. Here's my lovely Barbados cherry, doing fabulous. These are my Jamaican cherry trees. So this one here is a red variety. This one is a yellow variety. This is the cotton candy berry Jamaican cherry tree. I don't know how well it's going to do during our winter. I'm almost betting that it's going to die, both of them. So my plan for these 2 trees is to harvest some of the berries and place those seeds into soil immediately while they're completely fresh. I haven't seen much success with taking cuttings and rooting those cuttings, but I have seen people air layer these successfully. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to air layer these, and I may record that process for you and show you whether it worked or not. But I'll be doing that at some point next month in September. And then potting those up once they form roots and keeping those in pots until the springtime. Now, this tree is also known as the strawberry jam tree, and it's because it produces these lovely flowers that actually resemble strawberry flowers. These are prolific producers. They form so many berries, more berries than you'll know what to do with. And if you're in a hotter zone than I am, definitely get you a Jamaican cherry tree. You won't regret it. If you have kids, your kids won't regret it. If you have friends, your friends won't regret it. Here's one of the berries that are not ripe yet. Another one. Both the red and yellow varieties are delicious, and they both have a cotton candy flavor to them. I noticed that this red one has a little hint of berry with cotton candy, whereas the yellow one behind me, these berries taste like cotton candy, but then the aftertaste is sort of like a buttered popcorn, which is super random, but absolutely amazing. Look, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about you. I can see you guys blushing. I know. I know. I have this gorgeosity of a specimen that deserves its own video. This here is the arrowroot plant, or the Canna edulis. This is the one where you can actually eat the tubers or process them into arrowroot powder. I'm actually not growing it to consume the tubers or to make the powder, but I'm actually growing it for biomass, because this is not only a prolific grower, but it's very hardy. And just like the gingers, they form new growth. I just placed this in ground. These here were not this big when I placed this in ground, and look at how fast it has grown. I want to say I placed this in ground about 3, no more than 4 weeks ago, and it is just taking off. Look at that. Not only is it absolutely gorgeous, but it provides a lot of biomass. You can take your little Japanese hand sickle and chop this down, and it will continue to sprout new growth for you. And it's going to keep multiplying, and it makes an incredible mulch, and it's gorgeous. I have cassava here, another moringa tree, another moringa here, 3 roselle bushes here. They have been flowering and starting to produce their little calyxes or calyces. I have a Nantahala raspberry that isn't looking so great. So I've got it protected right now. A little bit of shade, a little bit of protection. Just recently fertilized it. Need to baby this one a little bit. Here we have a Japanese Ichi Kekijiro persimmon tree, a dwarf pomegranate, another golden pothos being trained up this pine tree, and my banana circle. I actually built this banana circle back in the early springtime, and it was just the dwarf Puerto Rican plantain at the time, the sweetheart banana, and the dwarf red lady papaya here. But then I added a few goodies that do wonderful alongside bananas and in a pit of this nature. And that would be sweet potatoes. This is a purple variety. I have another young papaya tree that may or may not make it during the winter. More purple sweet potatoes growing along the edges of this banana circle. I have my lovely lemongrass. If you want to learn more about that, I will link the video I recently made all about lemongrass in the description. Inside of the banana circle, we have taro. I have different varieties of sugarcane. Some were given to me by my lovely friend. This one here I actually purchased. This is a red or purple variety. It's softer, a lot juicier and sweeter, really good for snacking, whereas the green varieties are better for juicing, although I still snack on those. I don't mind. Over here I have my Thai soldier long beans that I've always grown as a bush. They have never taken over my area. They've always been contained right here. Never pruned them. And as you can see, they're doing just fine. But of course, they will still do great with trellis support if you would like to trellis these. I have some cranberry hibiscus throughout the garden that I'm protecting. So yeah, inside of this large banana circle is essentially a large compost pile. I'll also link in the description my process of building this banana circle if you're interested in watching that. Here's another baby fig. This is also a Celeste variety. That is all for now, my friend. Thank you for being with me today. I hope some of the things that are growing in my backyard have inspired you to go pick up 1 or 2 or maybe 18 of these same plants. Happy gardening, and I will see you on our next one.